Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Friday's edition of, no, not Friday's edition. Usually it's you and me on Friday. I thought today was Friday.
Well, it's Friday in the football week.
It is a football Friday.
Yeah.
Right? It's a football Friday, but it's really Wednesday. Now that I've totally confused everybody out there, welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. And as always, coming to you from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Our phone number is 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. We will be here for the next hour. You can also get us at our YouTube channel. We do stream live on YouTube as well as on Giants.com. And you can hit us up on Twitter at Giants Chat if you like. He is Matt Citak. I am Paul Dottino. And we'll be here for the next hour once again to talk Giants football. We do have a Thursday night football game, which was the source of my confusion. The Giants will be playing the Philadelphia Eagles here at home at MetLife Stadium, right across the parking lot tomorrow night. A game that, quite frankly, does not have as much hype as it could have had the Giants actually won a couple of games that they had given away. They could very easily be 3-2 right now, and with the Eagles at 4-1, there would be a lot of buzz about this game. But right now the Giants are 1-4, and they're coming off a really, really ugly loss down in New Orleans, and so consequently, there's not nearly the buzz that we otherwise might have had.
Yeah, and honestly, forget about potential, it could be 3-2. It's just if they had won last week, riding a 2-game winning streak going into this short week divisional matchup, I feel like there would have been a lot more, hype and excitement around this game. But, it is still, it will be the Giants fans only their second opportunity to get to see Jackson Dart start, which is that is obviously exciting. And anytime you have an NFC East matchup, that's, get your popcorn ready, because you never know what will happen in these divisional games. I know, of course, in the last few years, the Giants have struggled in these divisional matchups, especially against the Eagles. Eagles and Cowboys. 24. Eagles and Cowboys, particularly those two. But
8-24.
Yeah,
since the start of the 2009 season against Philadelphia.
That's not great.
5-11 at home against Philadelphia during that span. But wait. There's good news. Giants have beaten the Eagles on 3 of their last 5 trips to MetLife Stadium.
Yeah. I will say one of them was weak.
No. Do not qualify it. Do not qualify it. You're looking for a good stat? You want a positive stat? Glass half full stat? A sunshiny stat? 3 out of the last 5. They have beaten the Eagles at MetLife Stadium. There's your stat.
Or Jackson Dart, 1-0 as the starting quarterback at home in the regular season.
Two good stats.
You want to find another stat?
Pierce, do you have a third for us?
No.
No. Okay. That's kind of where we're at right now. So we will attempt to field as many of your phone calls as possible here at 201-939-4513. Don't forget, if you're not catching the show live, you can always get an archive of this show. It's part of the Giants platforms everywhere at giants.com/podcasts as well. Now, there are jog-throughs that were entertained yesterday by the two teams. No real practices. Okay, because you got to understand, Monday's a treatment day, and they go through a walkthrough, and they go through corrections. Then on Tuesday, both teams, not only the Giants, but the Eagles, decided not to have a full practice. They both went through jog-throughs, which means T-shirts and shorts, and you're picking up the pace a little bit of a normal walkthrough when you do your plays. Today is your actual walkthrough day, because it's the day before a game. So everything that we tell you about practice, guy didn't practice, guy's limited, don't know how he's feeling, it's really sketchy because nobody actually got out there and did a real practice to test themselves. But I'll have Matt update you on what we know to this point. It will be at 4 o'clock today, or at least by that time, when the league requires an official status report on all of the guys from both teams.
Yeah, so just to go off of what you were saying, that if you look at the injury report that we have up on Giants.com or the app, you will see that, next to the days, we put asterisks, and then below it, the little notes, and it's specifying that the Giants and the Eagles both, did not practice or they had a walkthrough, and that all of these injury statuses are projections. If the Giants were to have had a full practice, this is what the team projects player X to have done at said practice. So, so we'll just go by yesterday. Yesterday, there were 4 players that did not practice. That would be Swayze Bozeman, Jermaine Illuminor, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, and Darius Slayton. Now, of those 4, Coach Dable seemed to have the most optimism about Illuminor being able to go. He did say yesterday, I think he'll be okay. Obviously, that is far from a guarantee, but obviously more encouraging than the alternative. The other 3, we'll have to see. Then moving beyond that, we had Jackson Dart was upgraded to a full participant yesterday after being limited on Monday. That is an encouraging sign. And again, both Coach Dable and Jackson himself said he's good to go. He will be out there starting tomorrow night. And then we have a couple of players that have been limited on both Monday and Tuesday. And that would be Dane Belton, Javon Holland, Tyler Nubin, which you'll notice those are all 3 of our top safeties. And then Drew Phillips and Tyrone Tracy. And similar to Illuminor, Coach Dable did seem to have some optimism that there's at least a chance that Tyrone Tracy is able to go tomorrow night after missing the last, let's say, 2.5 games because of a shoulder injury he suffered against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football back in Week 3. And then in terms of the Eagles, they've had 2 players that did not practice Monday and Tuesday, and that is guard Landon Dickerson, which that would be kind of a big one if he's unable to go. He suffered an ankle injury during Philadelphia's loss to the Broncos on Sunday. And then tight end Grant Calcaterra. Saquon Barkley was upgraded yesterday from a DNP Monday to limited on Tuesday, and there are already reports out that he would have to be going on legitimately one leg for him to miss a chance to play the Giants.
He's not missing the game.
He will be out there tomorrow night. And then you have rookie linebacker Jihad Campbell and defensive tackle Byron Young, who are both limited. And then it sounds like linebacker Nakobe Dean, there's a report today, he's been full the last 2 days. It sounds like they are preparing for him to make his 2025 debut against the Giants tomorrow night.
Yeah, that one is very interesting because the Eagles have had trouble stopping the run. They're giving up 4.7 yards per carry, which is among the bottom feeders in the National Football League. Dean is a very active linebacker who has been out for 9 months because of a knee injury. He's been on PUP, and there seems to be a legit chance. Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, said yesterday that they're unsure. They think there is a chance that he could play against the Giants. I'm going to lean towards he doesn't play because he hasn't had a full contact practice. This week they did walkthroughs and jog-throughs. I'm going to say they still need to give him another week to ramp up. So I'll probably go under the assumption that you won't see him. But nonetheless, it is a possibility, and we'll know by 4 o'clock today, once again, when the NFL requires an actual status report to be out for both of these teams. It's clear. You guys know all about what's going on with the Giants. So I'm just going to go over here with Matt a couple of items about the Philadelphia Eagles. They had their over-the-season winning streak from end of last year into this year snapped last week in a 21-17 loss to the Denver Broncos. They've been playing pretty well defensively. Now, they are not stopping the run very well, but for the most part, they're playing pretty well defensively. Offensively, it's been a real struggle for them. Saquon Barkley has been nursing a very sore knee, although he had a 47-yard catch and run for a touchdown last week. His longest run of the season is 17 yards. They're not feeding him the ball as much. He's got the sore knee. He has been hit. How about this? Yards before contact. You remember how many times when he was with the Giants, it seemed as though the defender was there as soon as he got the ball? Well, yards before contact this year, Saquon Barkley with the Philadelphia Eagles is under 2, which is very reminiscent of what we saw on almost a weekly basis, which just goes to prove everything that we've already told you a billion times, maybe a gazillion times. Saquon Barkley, as great as he is, he can't overcome deficiencies along an offensive line. And right now, the Eagles' offensive line this season has not run blocked nearly as well as they have in the past. And it has shown Saquon Barkley at the moment has been a shell of himself. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't break out against the Giants tomorrow night. But it means to this point, that running game's trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and it's not just the run blocking of the Eagles' offensive line. I mean, the Eagles, I feel like for at least the last, 5 years have been considered to have the, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. But that unit does not look the same this year. I mean, they, according to Next Gen Stats, they have allowed in pass protection the second highest quarterback pressure rate of any team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Just over 40% of Jalen Hurts' dropbacks, he's getting pressured. And I mean, you mentioned the run game, but that's Jalen Hurts. We've seen that the Eagles' passing game has barely been able to take off. They haven't taken off at all this year. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith have been somewhat vocal about their frustrations about the Eagles' passing game. Part of it is because Jalen Hurts is just not getting the time that he's accustomed to having in the pocket to let those guys get down the field and hit them down the field. So this whole offensive line by the Eagles, again, they are still I would say an above average unit overall, but they've struggled to start the season, and it's certainly not going to help if Landon Dickerson is not able to go tomorrow night.
No, it won't. Those two receivers are each averaging less than 11 yards a catch, which is remarkable. Look, the only thing I don't want to do is dwell too much on their deficiencies, because even though they haven't played very well offensively, we already told you yesterday on BBKL, in a number of key statistics, the Giants' offense is actually far ahead of Philadelphia's, believe it or not. That's just true. If you watch yesterday's show, those are facts. But, of course, that doesn't mean that Philadelphia won't turn the corner and get well and erupt on the Giants. So I don't want to really stress those too much right now on this program. I will tell you that Toth, the former U.S. military academy from Army offensive lineman, is the guy next in line to replace Dickerson. Now, he would only be making his third NFL start in 5 NFL seasons, 4 of which have been with Philly. He had a year sandwiched in there with the Carolina Panthers. That is one heck of a position for him to be in. Now, Simpkins was in a position similar with the Saints last week, and the Giants, while they got a lot of pressures, they didn't finish the job and got only one quarterback hit. So they need to, if Toth is in there at left guard, they need to take advantage of him this week. They need to do a lot better than just one quarterback hit on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, look, through the first 5 games, if you look at just quarterback pressures and the pressure rate, you would think that the Giants' pass rush has been about the best in the NFL or among the best, because in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback, the unit has been very good. However, unfortunately, pressures are not the stats that fully matter. They are important, I think, but it doesn't. If you can't turn any of them into sacks, it doesn't matter how many pressures you get.
More importantly, you got to turn some of those pressures into incompletions and turnovers.
Yeah,
even more than sacks.
Well, I don't know about more than sacks, because you can look at the stats. When you get a sack for any offense across the NFL, if you get a sack, the chances of them then going on to have put up points on the drive significantly lower than if there are no sacks.
But a turnover gives you the ball.
Of course.
That's even better.
And of course, you'd rather have an incomplete pass as well than a completion or the quarterback then scrambling and running for yards. But the Giants need to start turning these pressures into actual sacks and into some of these, bigger, somewhat splash plays. Not every single one obviously has to be a big splash play, a strip sack, fumble, or anything like that. But you need to start converting on some of these quarterback pressures, because again, pressures can only mean so much if they're not turning into at least somewhat positive plays for your defense. Like Abdul Carter ranks 7th in the NFL in pressures. 7th.
And he's got half a sack.
He has half a sack. Guess that, it's great. It's obviously you'd rather have good pressure numbers than no pressure numbers or low ones. But again, you need to start turning those pressures into these bigger splash plays, whether it's a sack, forcing an interception, fumble, like even throwaway, like something, instead of just letting either the quarterback scramble or letting him scramble a little bit and then hit an open receiver.
The defensive backs have to be a heck of a lot closer to the receivers, though, in order for that to happen, too.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that Next Gen Stats indicates the Giants are playing more man-to-man coverage than anybody in the league, man-to-man doesn't mean that you're close, because you can play off coverage and still play man-to-man. And that's been a big issue for this team, because guys have been playing man-to-man, but they haven't been getting inside of people's jerseys. And that's why we're not seeing as many interceptions or as many passes knocked down. So we have to be careful. Sometimes a lot of people will say, well, they're playing too much zone. Actually, they're playing the most man-to-man, but it's off coverage man-to-man. It's not bump and run. Yeah. It's not jam. It makes a difference.
For sure.
201-939-4513. Before we get to the calls real quick, we have an opportunity to go over our promos. Giants Huddle Podcast, as we all know, features long-form interviews with Giants personnel, NFL personnel as well. Go to giants.com/podcasts or your favorite podcast platforms. Pearson, as always, this is your chance to shine. 15 seconds of fame. What do we got this week?
We got Giants Hangout. That went up yesterday. Matt was on that one. And then we have a preview going up this afternoon with Bobby Okereke. Game preview.
Linebacker Bobby Okereke, who was 7th, I believe, tied for 7th in the league in tackles.
He's tied for 4th.
Is it 4th now?
Yep.
Okay, it's 4th. But they haven't been very impactful. They've got to count for more.
See, before we get to the calls, I got a little disagree with you there.
Okay.
I actually think, because I was this morning writing my weekly Players to Watch article, and one of the players I featured was Bobby Okereke, and I wrote how obviously the Giants are 1-4, and so that, overshadows the positive performances basically from anyone on the roster. But Bobby Okereke is having a quietly very strong season through the first 5 weeks. So this is according to Next Gen Stats, has recorded a tackle that has resulted in what NGS considers an unsuccessful offensive play on 17.4% of run snaps this season, which is the highest rate of any linebacker in the NFL. And he's also seen his missed tackle rate, which last year was at 11.8%, drop all the way down to 3.4%. He's only missed one tackle according to Next Gen Stats.
I'm an Okereke fan. I would be lying to you if I was not disappointed. No tackles for a loss, one quarterback hit, and one pass defensed. For a guy who has his athleticism and who has coverage skills, he needs to have more pass breakups than that, and he absolutely needs to have tackles for a loss and does not have any.
The coverage stats, I'll give you. That I agree with. But, I mean, obviously you would love if you could stop a player a yard behind the line of scrimmage, but if you're stopping him at the line of scrimmage, it's almost essentially the same thing.
I like to stick them behind the chains. It makes
obviously you'd prefer that. Anytime you can have the opposing offense moving backwards, you'll in any sort of way you take it. But I mean, you look at again this NGS stat, the highest rate of any linebacker, leading to tackles on run plays and leading to unsuccessful play for the opposing offense.
I would like to see more impact. That's all I'm saying. Run or Walk with Giants Legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K Racing Kids Run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 26th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Nets proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt after the race. Stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants Legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. Giants TV, the app, the mobile app, it's free. It's available on Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV. It is great stuff. You find all kinds of fun things on there as well. And, of course, there are still tickets available not only for this game against Philadelphia on Thursday. There are season tickets still available for the rest of the campaign, should you so choose. Membership allows you to stay connected with the team all year long. You get exclusive membership benefits. Go to giants.com/tickets. With that, I do believe it is time that we go back to the phones.
We did just release the injury report real quick.
Oh, Early.
Yes.
Go for
early.
it.
Ruled out Swayze Bozeman, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, and Darius Slayton. Questionable Jermaine Illuminor.
All right.
So
Don't have the Eagles yet, though, do we?
No, not the Eagles yet, but that's kind of what we were expecting.
Yeah. To be frank, with
there was a report earlier this morning that Slayton was expected to miss it. I was hoping that would end up not being the case, but it clearly is.
I didn't like his chances.
Of course, a hamstring injury when you are unable to return on Sunday to then be able to come back 4 days later seemed very unlikely.
Well, the real problem, with a hammy is that those things get aggravated very, very easily. Yeah. And on the short rest, all he's got to do is go out there run one or two routes, and all of a sudden he could be out for the game. So does that help you? No.
Not even out for the game, but potentially make the hamstring injury even worse and then be out even for a longer extended period of time.
Yeah.
But notably, Tyrone Tracy, no injury designation. That means he's good. Should be good to go.
I'm looking at that list also right now that you just called up, and I'm thinking to myself, he's missing.
There you go. That's a good.
So, wow. So Tyrone Tracy. Let's just say this, and we don't know. We haven't talked to anybody. We've been in studio with you guys. Tyrone Tracy apparently is a legit possibility now to play in this game.
I mean, if there's no injury designation, he'll be out there.
Look, he told us yesterday he was trending up.
Yeah.
He was feeling good. He was confident. Felt if he got out on the field, he would give it everything he had. But did say the trainers were going to run a few tests on him to see what he could or could not do, and they would have the say as to whether or not he'd be cleared. Apparently, he got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Good to go. Should be a boost to the run game.
That will help. All right, we go to the phones, and I believe our first caller is going to be Jason from New Haven. You're first on the program. Hello.
Hi, how you got, Matt and Paul? How you guys doing?
What's going on?
Good. How are you, Jason?
Ain't much. Just a quick points. What can I say about Sunday? That was rough. Watching us. And I'm one of those fans that, if you beat a team, you beat a team. But there's also a caveat where you could also give a team a win. And I feel like we gave the Saints that game on Sunday. And that's the issue I'm having. Now, I know this year I didn't expect playoffs. I didn't expect us to even be in contention for playoffs. But like John Myra said last year, I wanted to fit. Now, the season's not over, of course, I know, fellas. So there's still some ball to be played. But my issue is, and I have no, of course, I'm not in the locker rooms. I'm not interviewing these guys like you two are, of course. So, this is just my opinion. And this is what I'm worried about Dart with, and some of our other rookies, but specifically Dart. I don't think it will happen, but just hear me out. For the last few years, losing has been in our DNA, not as a whole, as a franchise, but let's say the last 5-6 years. We just haven't been a good team. That's just, I don't think anybody can, go against what I just said with that. We just haven't been a good team. We don't have a lot of wins in the last 5 years, or specifically under Daboll's regime. And what my issue is, I feel like losing, being that I play sports, losing to me is also a mindset. We've seen this team, and I don't know if you guys agree with me. In my opinion, we've seen this team give away 3 games this year. In my opinion, we should be 3-2, right? We gave away the Kansas City game, in my opinion. We gave away that Dallas game, and now we just gave away the New Orleans game.
Okay, hold on a second, though. Your math is a little off, because if you feel there were 3 giveaways, they'd have 4 wins instead of 1.
Yes.
Right.
You're right.
All right.
You're right.
I personally believe they gift wrapped Dallas and New Orleans. The Kansas City game was a winnable game. I don't think they necessarily gave it away like they did the other 2.
Yeah, I just feel like Kansas City's not a good. Now it's still early, so I don't want to say they're not a good team. But up until this point, they haven't been the Kansas City we've known them to be over the last, since Mahomes really became the full-time starter. They're not an unbeatable team, and I feel like we gave them the game.
It's a winnable game.
Long story short, and I'll wrap up. I like the confidence and the the cojones, excuse my language, that Dart plays with, and Scadaboo, and some of these young players that we have. I like it. Andrew Phillips, those kind of guys, right? And what I don't want to see is losing start to get integrated into their DNA, right? So I'm hoping at some point, right? I'm hoping at some point we could break through because we have some young talent. I mean, the first 2 drives against New Orleans, we went up and down. I was like, wow, this is great. We went up and down the field. We looked like a true NFL offense. And just to see the game just get, disappointed with Slayton and the fumble and the drops and the fumbles, it was rough to watch. So I'm not going to hold you guys up because I know you got other callers. But let's see what happens tomorrow. Like you guys said, the Eagles are a good team. But like I stated, are they an unbeatable team? No, they're not. So, I'm not expecting us to go out there and put 40 on them. I'm not even saying we're going to win the game tomorrow. But what I'm asking as a fan is please don't beat yourself. I know mistakes are going to happen. We have a very young team, a young quarterback. I get it. He's going to make mistakes, and it's okay. But as a whole, just give us a game where we can say, you know what, win or loss, okay, we played up to our potential. Either we lost on a last-minute field goal, last-second field goal, or we won. I just don't want to see the constant mistakes that we're seeing every week. To me, it's a point where I'm going to start looking at the coaching now and the head coach. And I'll take it off the air, fellas. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Jason. In short, what Jason is telling you is, despite some of the scuffling the Eagles have had to go through, they will not beat themselves. You still have to beat them, which is what the Broncos did last week. The Giants have not shown, outside of the Chargers game, the ability to go out there and just beat somebody. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were talking before about some of the, the struggles that the Eagles have had this season so far. They are still, I consider them to be the team to beat in the NFC. I mean, them and Detroit, like this is still a very, very good football team where the Giants have a very uphill battle tomorrow night in order to come out with a win. There's no doubt about it. As you mentioned, they just don't turn the ball over. I was talking before about turning some of those pressures into sacks, into potential turnovers. This is not a team that turns the ball over.
No interceptions,
it's
one
incredibly
fumble
difficult to force them into making forcing turnovers.
They're not going to. They're not going to. You have to go in, know that they will be clean and fundamentally sound. You have to beat them. They're not going to give it to you.
Of course.
Adiwan is on line 1. I hope I got that somewhat right. You're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello. Yes, hello.
Yes, hello.
There you are. Hello. Appreciate your call. I think your computer's probably a little loud in the background. If you could turn that down, it would help us out.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I think that I'm very optimistic about this game, and who makes me optimistic is Jackson Dart. I agree with the last caller. He plays with cojones, as he said.
And he slid last week. He slid feet first. Did you see that? Twice. And the background noise is not working out there. You got to get that volume down on your computer. But yes, it was a very excitable moment to see Jackson Dart slide feet first, and then he did it a second time. I was blown away. My man, we got too much background going on. If you want to turn down the volume and call us back, we'll get you on the back side. Let's go to James from Greece. James, is this like the real Greece or some Greece somewhere else in the United States?
No. James from Georgia. James from Georgia, but I'm in Greece right now.
Wow. Well, thank you for taking the time on your vacation to dial us up.
I'm here on work. Last year, I think I talked to Matt and John, and I was like, yeah, it's close to the boot. Polly Daps would be proud of me. There's some good Italian food down here, good Italian people.
All right.
But yeah. So I agree with what the conversation y'all were having earlier. I want to put a couple of perspectives. So the Giants' defense, you were saying the cornerbacks need to get more sticky because of our pressure rate, and I believe that. And let me try to focus here. I believe that they have the high pressure rate that they have needs to turn into some type of turnover, if not sack, like Paul was saying. Because I will take, whatever percentage you want to put on it, 20, 30 of those pressures actually turning into turnovers instead of defensive pass interference. I think the cornerbacks are there. They're just drawn. I think we might lead the league in DPI, which goes to the adverse kind of what you were saying, Paul, that they need to get tighter. They do. They need to get a little bit less tight, because I haven't looked it up, but I do believe we're leading the league in DPI. We just have to be. We get 5 a game. I mean, you know what I mean? You don't have to look up a stat to be like another DPI to the figures,
I'm actually looking up that number now so I can confirm your suspicions, and we will see if that's indeed true. The Giants, oh boy, what do you know? 6. Denver has 7. So the Giants are tied for 6th.
Tied with Philadelphia.
For most defensive pass interference penalties.
So they're just throwing the DPI flag this year, the refs are.
Oh, they have a very good time. Throwing that laundry.
I mean, I can't, off the top of my head, remember every single DPI called, but the ones that I do remember, it's not like those were like questionable calls. Like they were pretty clearly pass interference calls.
Yeah, that's also true. But yeah, the pressure is have to turn into something, or you just get lackluster results. All you get is big numbers, but not affecting the play. I don't think. Letting them get back to a 2nd or 3rd and 10, I would rather see a 2nd and 3rd and 12 or better, at least, Like just that 2 yards in a game of inches makes a whole bit of difference. Mm-hmm. And, at least 3 games now, we've spotted the other team 7 points with 100 yards of, at least 2 games, 100 yards of penalties. So that right there, is you can take points off the board if you don't spot the other team 100 yards within a football game.
No doubt. It's extremely frustrating.
All right. My last thing is on a couple of personal notes. I'm out here in Greece, and the one sports bar that I have to go to watch the game at 8 o'clock at night because of the time difference, and now the 1 o'clock come on at 8 o'clock over here. There's fair weather fans, and then there's, I think, by name fans, and then there's some of us diehard bleed blues. Like when I look at the schedule, all I see is W's. When before the season starts, W. This might be a L, W, and then we end up only winning 4 games. That's fine, you know what I mean? But when I look at it, and it's any given Sunday, any team could go out and be any team. Not saying anything against anybody who's called, today's show or recently, but sit in the bar and, there's actually a couple other Giants fans in there, and it's like they root for, like, they're expecting us not to be good. And I sit there. I don't really say anything because it's not worth it, But if you don't think the team is going to win, just because we've been bad for so long, in football, you can knock out the quarterback in the first quarter and win the game in the fourth. There was one year I think I called about this the last time I called. We weren't very good by the end of the season, but we knocked out the starting quarterback almost every other game, and and something like that. A couple of fumbles this way,
James, you know what it is.
Your way, and your schedule become respectable. They were in the bar last week. Or you think they're going to fire Dable? I'm like, it's week 5. If we win the next 10 games, why would you fire the man? And then I just went back to
right. You know what it is, James, and we'll let you go in just a second. I want to keep you on the line only because I'm afraid you won't be able to hear us. There is a human condition where the accumulation of frustration leads to a defeatist attitude. And I think that's what you're talking about. Look, I've told people on this show and on the other shows that I've done a billion times, I am always taking the glass half full approach. I think that's a much more positive approach. It helps you get through the day a lot better. If you constantly look at everything, a glass half empty all the time, it's just going to consistently make you miserable. And the wheel will always turn to misery. I don't see the point in doing that. Okay? I just don't. I take the glass half full approach in every aspect of my life. It's not just the Giants. Contrary to popular belief out there, so many people think that I just like, oh, he wears blue-colored glasses for the Giants. No, I take a glass half full approach every day when I get up in the morning. That's just the way I keep my energy level up so I can keep Father Time in the other room. James, we got to go. Enjoy your trip. Safe travels.
Yes, sir.
201-939.
Thank you, James. Yeah.
4513. Young Grasshopper, learn from this.
Look,
glass half full is a lot better for your health. Trust me.
I agree with you on that, and I can understand why you do it, but at the same time, I just, in the defense of those other Giants fans that you were talking about, I obviously completely understand the frustration because it's been, over a decade now?
I didn't say I didn't understand it. What I said is I don't subscribe to that.
That's fair, and that's, a personal choice and a healthy personal choice. But I can never, not for a second, fault those fans that are incredibly angry because look, everyone's frustrated. No one wants to keep losing. Everyone wants to turn the ship around. So just got to say, I feel and understand where those fans are coming from.
I think everybody does. You have to when you see as much residue as has been dropped by this team over the years. Craig from Long Island is next on the program. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Craig. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. I want to first give a shout out to Mr. Mara.
Yes, sir.
All kinds of blessings for him. I hope he gets great care, both scientifically and organically, whatever can rid him of this cancer. First and foremost. As far as the team goes, a couple callers back, they were talking about, you guys were saying that, hey, you're going to have to beat the Eagles. Well, we used to be like that, too, where we were very thin on the, it seems every week that we figure out how to lose the game for ourselves. We're not tightening up. We have one excellent receiver. Everything else is question marks. How do these guys play on the team? They played in high school, they played in college. You come to the pros, and it's like they just wiped all their abilities out. Everybody can just run just straight patterns or something. How do they not, be on a team for 3 or 4 years, and then you don't know if this guy can catch? He can't this, he can't that. It's almost like, one guy, well, if you come to the team and you got the skills already, it's like as if they don't even teach in the interim. They don't go over patterns. They don't expand on guys. All he could do is run straight up the field. And what happened to our little Turbo Miller guy? That guy's a dangerous guy with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, they've gone with 2 running backs now for the last few weeks while Tracy's been out. But now apparently, because he's not on the injured list today, it looks as though that he's going to be a go for tomorrow. So that would give them 3 healthy running backs, which means the window of opportunity for Miller at this point will have passed at the moment, and he remains on the practice squad. Is that all?
Okay. Well, the idea with the wide receivers, you got your best guy, he goes down, and then next guy, he gets a bump. How do we keep these guys around if they can't run patterns and catch, and it's just like if one guy goes down, it's like the whole thing almost collapses, and you have to go from throwing it to wide receivers to skip over that, and it's got to go to tight ends instead to get anything done.
Somebody's got to produce. Somebody's got to step up. Craig. Yeah, Craig, you're right. Somebody has to step up.
More than one guy.
The 2 tight ends did really well in the first half the other day. Johnson caught 2 touchdown passes. Bellinger had 4 grabs in the game. it was a nice day for the tight ends. I quite frankly love the heavy package. Double tight ends, especially you got Tracy coming back, so now your running back core is fortified. I'd love to see a bunch of double tight ends in this game tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to do it, but I'd love to see it. And for whatever snaps that Collins and Hyatt get, you know what? Make some plays.
Yeah, I would. As much success as the tight ends had this past Sunday, and they did. The Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger had his best game in a while. Theo caught the 2 touchdowns, but the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFL in covering opposing tight ends. Mm-hmm. Last week, Evan Ingram scored a touchdown as the first time Eagles have given up a touchdown to the tight ends this season. They have held all tight ends to it's like 190 yards in 5 games. So, obviously, especially now with Darius Slayton out, the Giants are going to need Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger to step up again. But even more so, Wan'Dale needs to step up. Bo Collins, who obviously had that mistake that was costly last week, he needs to have a bounce-back performance. Jalen Hyatt, with whatever snaps he gets, he needs to step up. I would imagine now with Slayton out that there will be some sort of roster move at wide receiver. I would think. I guess you never know, but I would think, because you just need bodies. So whoever that is, if it's little Jordan Humphrey, if he's out there running routes, take advantage of it. No, maybe Gunnar Olszewski gets some snaps on offense.
Good.
Remains to be seen. But regardless, just to your point, I get what you're saying. If your top playmaker is injured and is gone, the offense shouldn't just, crumble. But at the same time, I will just say, you're not just talking about your team's top playmaker. It's one of the best players in the entire NFL at his position, Malik Neighbors. I mean, you go across the league to all the teams that have that one alpha dominant receiver. You take that guy out, of course, the offense is going to take a big step back. That's just unfortunately, expected. I mean, we've seen it with teams across the NFL. So I'm with you that we will need to see other guys step up. Other guys are going to have, especially tomorrow night with no Slayton as well, a big opportunity to step up and do something. Now, it's going to be tough because, again, the Eagles secondary, their defense in the secondary especially, they've got a lot of talent back there. Mm-hmm. Quinyon Mitchell's one of the top young corners. Cooper DeJean, one of the top slot corners. They have 2 safeties that are playing fantastic football right now. It's going to be a challenge for the Giants pass catchers to get open and, make contested catches. But if the Giants want to have any chance at winning tomorrow night, those guys are going to have to take advantage of those opportunities that they get.
Philly's given up over 125 yards a game on the ground, 22nd rated defense against the run in the NFL. So when I say go heavy package and go double tight ends, heck, go triple tight ends. Get Manhurts in there if you like to. Ram it down their throats. Just pound it. Make it a ground and pound game. And see if Philadelphia is as tough as they say they are. And take it to them.
And what about that guy, the defensive fellow that was doing some lead blocking?
Elijah Chapman is on the practice squad.
Chapman.
Yeah, they would have to bring him up for a game day activation if they were to want to use him.
Just blocking straight ahead, going around. They seem to like to try to go into the weakest part of their offensive line, which is straight up the middle. But they don't do much going around the edges where it's would be a little bit softer, And again, Chapman, he can run because he ran down a running back
in Houston.
Behind.
Yes, we remember.
That is etched permanently in my mind. So he can keep up. So get some different stuff going on. Razzle dazzle. So put some surprise in people.
Now remember the one thing,
people around for a change instead of being
hey, I'm with you. Play bully ball. Play bully ball against Philadelphia.
Yes.
Let's see how tough these defending champions are. I'm with you. I'm absolutely.
Get Jacobs off. Get Jacobs off to the retirement.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate the call.
Thank you, Craig.
Be well. One thing to keep in mind, activation-wise, the Giants need to bring up a kicker again tomorrow.
Yep.
Because Gano is still on injury reserve. So whether it's McAtamney or it's Koo, they need to use an activation on a kicker. That's one of the 2 spots. The other spot, if you're considering bringing up a little Jordan Humphrey because you think you're thin at wide receiver, those are your 2 spots.
Well, the Giants also have 2 open roster spots right now. They do. So I would expect at least one of those spots will be filled with someone getting signed from the practice squad, I would think. I would think there's a chance that it's Neville Hewitt because he's out of elevations now.
Special teams
and he's been
linebacker.
playing the most special team snaps of anyone on the team.
He's done well, too.
He has on special teams. So I think there's a chance that he could get signed to the active roster, which would then open up one elevation for a potential, someone like Little Jordan Humphrey or whoever. But yeah, the Giants do have the 2 open roster spots. I'd expect at least one of them to be filled.
201-939-4513. Jay in Orlando is next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi.
I have two comments and a question. So I want to say, first of all, Andrew Thomas has proven his value. The offensive line looks, much improved, and I think he's obviously a huge contributor to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Tyrone Tracy Jr., before his injury, he was, kick returning, punt returning, and then he got injured. My question, I guess, for that is, can we see him get some run at wide receiver? I think that'll be interesting. That was a position that he played, and it kind of seems like Cam Scatterboo is getting the majority of snaps at running back. And I would also like to see Olszewski get some run, a wide receiver, Little Jordan Humphrey, as well. I know a lot of people want them to kind of make moves and bring guys in from the outside, but I think we really need to figure out what we have within, the Giants' walls before we go outside and search for somebody, because that's not a, plug and play, easy fix kind of thing like the fan base seems to think. And then my last question is, it seems like social media is so down on the Giants. Every time, every time something rough happens to them, it's kind of like, here we are again, everything sucks. And I don't know, I think they need to give Jackson Dart some time to do his thing and, be patient. He is a rookie, Cam's a rookie, mistakes are going to be made. But I think we're headed on the right track. What do you guys think?
Well, Eli Manning was 1-6 as a starter when he first came in as a rookie, right? When he replaced Kurt Warner, he lost his first 6 games as a starter. And you guys know, I don't believe in one-loss records for quarterbacks. But if you just want to be superficial about it and look at the wins and the losses, he didn't win his first game as a starter until the last game of the season that year against Dallas. He had to go through some growing pains. And if you remember those games, they were ugly.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did not play well his rookie season.
They were
honestly,
lopsided.
His first 2-3 seasons until that 2007 playoff run, that was the best football we had seen, obviously, from Eli up until
I
that
disagree,
point.
because in year 2 they made the playoffs. They won 10 games and made the playoffs. He played well enough to be a playoff quarterback.
Yes, well enough for the team to make the playoffs, but it's not like he carried the team to the playoffs that year.
But he was a legit good quarterback.
Look, again, as you said, he did enough to help them make the playoffs. But ultimately,
the difference between, rookie seasons and rookie practices and rookie games, Jackson Dart, to this point, I think he's further along than what Eli was when I remember watching Eli as a rookie.
Agreed. 100%. I agree.
That doesn't mean he's going to win a bunch of games the rest of the season, but I do think at this point the evidence shows, the tape shows he's a little bit further along. So we're just going to have to see.
And just in terms of, the rookies and the young players overall, I think even the most pessimistic of Giants fans would agree that there are some talented players on the roster, the young guys on these rookie contracts. But until this team actually gets it all together and starts winning games, it's going to be hard for anyone to feel too much, encouragement about the future. That's
absolutely true. That's absolutely true. A number I want to give you, you're talking about where to run the ball. The Giants lead the NFL in rushes behind left tackle, which is where Andrew Thomas is now setting up with 26 rushes. They're 5th in the NFL with rushes behind left guard and 4th in the NFL in rushes up the middle. So they do tend to go from the middle left as opposed to the middle right. So they are trying, and I don't know where those numbers were each and every game, but now that Andrew Thomas is back in the lineup, you can be sure that number is going to continue to lean that way.
Love that. And last thing I'll say, and then I'll get off of here. But I was at the game in person when we played the Chargers. The environment was crazy. The fans were into it, and I think that kind of permeated the team and made the guys want to play to win. Not that they don't play to win regularly, but I think it gave them a little bit of an extra push. So I just want to urge the fan base. I know it's been tough. You know, it's been hard to kind of watch these games the last couple of years, but keep rooting your boys on. I think the more engaged we are, the more love we show, the more energy and passion we show, that'll reflect on the field, and I hope that we can all kind of just continue to push for the Giants to win.
Well, thanks for the call, Jay. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay.
And the thoughts and sentiments actually carry some weight. I think it's pretty clear that the stadium crowd against the Chargers, because of the excitement of Jackson Dart, let's not kid ourselves, everybody knew he was making his first pro start. So you had a lot of people who might have been no-shows who decided to use their tickets. Then you had other people who bought tickets that were available. They wanted to be here. They thought it was an event, and it was. And we heard the building. The building was loud, and it absolutely helped the electricity in the atmosphere, and the team did feed off of it. Now, was that the reason they won? No, of course not. They got the 2 interceptions. Get the ball deep inside Charger territory. They made enough plays. That's why they won. But I would not discount the fact that this is still a very emotional game. And when the building is rocking like that, it can provide some help.
Of course. I mean, look, as, you know, pessimistic as a good portion of our fan base is at the moment, like, I still believe we have the best fan base and the most devoted fan base in the entire NFL. I mean, that's why, you know, they're so emotional right now, because they're so frustrated with how the season and years have gone. But when the team gives the fan base something to root for, we see how the fans react. They are fully 100% behind this team when the team gives them something to cheer for. Mm-hmm. And hopefully moving forward, we have more, the team gives the fans more reasons to cheer and get behind them than what we've seen in, you know, the last couple of years.
YouTube comment before we sign off, and it's a rather unique one. Timothy Jackson says, I was wondering what wideout could we bring in or possibly trade for to help Jackson Dart? Two-part question, obviously. And then also, do you think we should or could trade away Kayvon Thibodeau? Well, let's go with the first part of the question. This wide receiver thing has been bandied about now for a while, and it makes no sense because the free agent list that was available during this past offseason, Lance Meadow did the research on the numbers. Darius Slayton was actually the number 2 free agent wide receiver paid for on the market this year. So, you know, if you're talking about upgrading the receiving core, realistically, with the Giants' cap room and with the guys on the marketplace and the price tags on those guys, you were not going to get anybody. You were not. Nobody was going to be a significant upgrade in the free agent crop that was at wide receiver. In the draft, if you're going to get a significant impact receiver, you got to draft him high. Well, what the Giants do with their high picks? They got what they think is a franchise quarterback. They got what they believe is a terrific prospect in the interior defensive line. They went and got a running back who everybody is absolutely ecstatic with. They got a pass rushing edge rusher in the first round that everybody is very, very happy with. Look, by the time you got around, and let's not forget about Marcus Bowe, who appears to be a 5th-round steal. By the time you got around to maybe considering drafting a wide receiver, you're way in at the back end of the 3rd day of the draft. Chances are you're not going to get an impact receiver there either.
And let's not forget, the Giants did use this 6th overall pick a year ago on a wide receiver who obviously is now out for the season, but looks like he is in the process of becoming one of the best receivers in the NFL, if he's not already at that level. This year, if you talk about, the Giants should have gotten Jackson Dart, a receiver. Well, as you mentioned, they got the best defensive player in the entire draft with a 3rd pick in Abdul Carter, and then traded up from the 2nd round to take Jackson Dart, to take that quarterback. So the first chance you had to get a receiver would have been the pick that they used on Darius Alexander. But the run defense has been one of the biggest weaknesses of this Giants team for years now. They went and picked someone that they thought was going to help address that area. So it's like, again, and then you mentioned, then you're on to day 3. Could you find a day 3 receiver that ends up making a big impact? Of course.
Did you not want Cam Scatterbo?
That's the counter argument. I think everyone's pretty happy with Cam Scatterbo so far. So look, there will be future drafts and future years, off seasons to address the wide receiver position, and it certainly will be, I would think, one of the top priorities next year, adding more playmakers to the offense to help Jackson in his development.
And as far as the free agent receivers available on the street right now, well, we've already seen how many people were screaming for OBJ. And what did we learn yesterday? OBJ came out on an interview and said, oh, by the way, I've been suspended because of PEDs. No. And he can't... And, okay.
I will always have love for Odell, but that was never the answer in 2025. Bringing him back.
No. And the rest of the list... There's nobody there that excites you. Nobody. And for all the chatter we heard about bringing Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis could not find a job on anybody's 53 and re-signed with the Bills on their practice squad.
And isn't he on the practice squad injured reserve at the moment?
I believe he is. So, no, I'm sorry, but Timothy, we've exhausted all avenues of possibilities there. There's no realistic opportunity to go grab another receiver. You're better off going with what you have. And if you want to tell me you need to bring up little Jordan Humphrey, I'll buy that. He's got a resume in this league. Yeah. He had a really nice summer. I'll buy that if you really think that needs to be the solution. I'm okay with that. But there's really no other realistic solution outside the building. The other part about trading Kayvon, they've already picked up his 5th-year option for next season. Even Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, and I know the stat line may not be spectacular, but even Shane Bowen has said he's playing really, really well. And you have him under economic certainty in the 5th year of his contract because you already picked it up for 2026.
Yep.
So it makes absolutely no sense to trade him.
I certainly would not. If anything, I would just honestly try to find more ways to get Kayvon, Brian Burns, and Abdul on the field together, because I've seen the numbers of when the 3 of them are on the field together, and then when you just take one of them off, and the numbers drop significantly when there's only 2 of them on the field as opposed to 3. So instead of trading Kayvon, let's just find more ways to get all 3 of them out there together.
So I will say this. I appreciate, Timothy, the fact that you came with a comment that maybe you were hoping might produce some better answers. I think that's the mentality you should have. So I love the fact that you offered some potential moves and maybe some potential solutions. That's where energies should always be focused on. But in this particular case, those 2 subjects or those 2 ideas, they don't really provide any fruitful, realistic types of solutions.
Now, what if you could trade for a wide receiver that's under contract for, 2 more seasons beyond this year? So it would be a trade that obviously would boost the offense right now, but also someone that has plans for the future as well. Would that be a trade that you would consider?
Now you'd have to talk about what is his contract, what is the commitment you're talking about for the next 2 years, what is his injury status? Is he a guy who is available because he's been hurt? Why is he being made available? Because there's always a reason why someone's willing to part with a guy. So would you listen? I guess you could. But if he's going to be a receiver of any ilk, he is probably going to cost you some at least decent draft capital.
Or cap space.
Yes. And if you're the Giants in 2025, that receiver's not going to make the difference between you being a Super Bowl contender or not. So I would say the odds are, if somebody wanted to ring the phone, I'd pick it up, but it's going to take an awful lot of convincing to make me seriously consider a deal.
No, that's fair. I mean, that would be the only real wide receiver trade route that I would even, kind of remotely consider, if it's someone that you plan on keeping around for beyond just the season. But yeah, I'm with you. It would have to be kind of like perfect circumstances.
You got a better chance of getting Amani Toomer off our announcing team and getting him back on the field. That's what I think. Folks, that'll do it for this edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Giants. Remember, the game is tomorrow night. I believe, is it 8:15 or 8:20 kickoff?
I believe it's 8:15.
I forget sometimes when they do these novelty kickoffs. 8:15. So it is the Thursday night football game of the week. You can also get the coverage beginning 2 hours prior on WFAN radio, as well as the post-game show on WFAN and MSG with a live post-game show immediately following the final gun. that'll do it for this edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live. As I understand it, Pearson, there is no show tomorrow because we're short on bodies. So, folks, this one will just have to do for the next 48 hours until we rejoin you on the program on Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Jot down the number 201-939-4513, and you'll have an opportunity to express your comments after the Giants and Eagles go to battle. We have come to you from the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. For Matt, I'm Paul. We'll see you again next time.